And my guy Ward is here, so I'm gonna throw him in too. Just a second. Let me view on Facebook. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody had a good day. We're gonna get the show on the road here in just a second. I need somebody who's watching this, man, who is a genius at StreamYard to help me get this thing fixed. So I always have to come on here and fix it on my personal profile. Be that as it may, so I can make sure I see the comments. But I got that fixed. Add the homie Ward.
What's up, y'all?
What's going on? What's going on? We are live, sir. So we're about to get this party on the road.
Dope. No echo, right? I'm good.
Nah, no echo, bro. You straight. Cool. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this, and you're tuned in to the only sports podcast with brains, bars, and NFL draft talk. You tune into another episode of It's a Black and White Thing. A1 and A Ward. I am one half of the dynamic duo. I am A1. You can also call me Carlos. You can also call me Dan, as you see on the screen. You can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for It's a Black and White Thing, and liking the content, rate, review, subscribe. We appreciate that. You can also check out our more recent episodes of the podcast by going to YouTube, searching Brains and Bars there. And then again, rate, review, subscribe, and share the content. The more you do that, the more the algorithm starts to put our podcast in front of other people. Tell a friend, it's those boys again. And you can also check us out by going to our social media profiles, Facebook, IG, Twitter, at Brains and Bars. For those who will be in the live chat tonight, don't be bashful. Come in, say hi. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like the page and share the broadcast. Facebook, same thing, like and share. So we normally start this show. First of all, for our returning listeners and viewers, welcome. Glad to have you. For those who are new to the show, welcome. We're glad you joined us. So we normally start the show off by going through what I've learned and what A Ward has learned, or what A Ward is looking forward to. But we're actually going to get right into our NFL draft coverage. And so joining us, he's a draft analyst from the 3-point conversion. He is Courtland Griffin. Courtland, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. This is amazing. I've never watched the show, I've never seen the show, but I'm glad to be here. And you guys got a fan of me right now, so I'll be tuning in.
We appreciate that. So I want to say a quick shout out to homie Danny Thompson. Danny was the one who connected me and Courtland to get together to do this show tonight. So a big shout out to him. And if you have watched the podcast, you know Danny was recently on breaking down the Charlotte Hornets and LaMelo Ball and talking a little NBA and some NFL. So I believe that's episode 70 if you want to check that out for certain. So, Courtland, once again, thanks for joining us. We appreciate having you. So I just want to jump into this, and just as we get into this draft coverage, what is one thing about the draft if you could change? If you could just, if you were the NFL commissioner, you can make a change to the draft process. What would that be?
Definitely the combine process. I feel like there's something missing there. The one thing that I do look at is I'm pretty sure you guys are avid football watchers, college football watchers. So when you watch the East-West Shrine game and definitely the Senior Bowl and you see the coverage, I follow Teron Davenport and I'm friends with him on Facebook as well. And one thing that he definitely shows is the one-on-ones, like the half pads, full speed one-on-ones. I feel like when you're evaluating these guys, it's great to look good in shorts. I've gone to the combine experience and ran the 40 time and done the some of the drills that they have set up there pre-COVID, and I looked great. A team probably would have signed me there right then and there. But like I said, I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and I could look great in shorts and t-shirts. It's when you get those pads on that these guys really start to see what they're made of. And I think when you start to get these guys, definitely like in a draft like this, where there's the top 4 or 5 wide receivers are so closely pushed, ranked together, or there's distance in between Devontae Smith, or a Jamar Chase, and then you got guys like a Caleb Farley, these top DBs. It would be great to see those guys, even if it's just shorts and pads and helmet, go up against each other and not just see guys backpedal from the 20-yard line to the 30 and trying to run and catch a ball. I can do that. I can come off the street and do that. Any Joe Schmo can come off the street and do that. These guys are getting paid to hit each other. They're going to get paid to make contact with each other. We should at least see some contact. There is the risk of injury, and some guys, of course, keep it open to where some guys can opt out, because some guys, the tape is enough. But it's for the guys that are day 3 guys, day 4 guys. You go in the combine on a 4.2, 4.3, all of a sudden their stock jumps up. And if you're a sports fan, you draft this guy, you're excited because you saw what he did in shorts. Then he gets out on the field and, he's a dumpster fire. And you're wondering, why did we waste a second-round pick, a first-round pick, or third round? Why did we waste that pick on this guy? And you go back and you look at his tape and you're like, oh, okay, he was always this bad. His combine numbers look great. So I think I would change the combine, if anything.
Now, have you had the opportunity? I know you talked about going to the combine experience. Have you been to like the Senior Bowl or to the actual like combine or East-West Shrine game to actually watch some of those practices?
I actually have been to the combine. The first time I went, funny story, I tell the story all the time. My mom, she actually paid for tickets. We all went. We were actually staying in the same hotel as like some of the coaches and draft analysts. So that really got me into doing this, which is draft analytics. And I actually got to sit in Lucas Oil Field or Stadium and actually watch these guys run and see them actually go through the process. And it was amazing. It was pretty fun to see some, these elite athletes go out and do and showcase elite athleticism, world-class athleticism. You get to see it up close. I actually got to see Deion Sanders and those guys up close and personal. Some of them, I got to take pictures with some of them, actually ask a question or two. So it was amazing. This was prior to me ever doing sports casting or sports analytics as a profession. So so that was a great experience for a young Courtland Griffin. If I had to give him some advice, I would say, please run with that. And don't wait 2 years later to
that's what's
to make
it. We'll have to get our credential game up so we can I want to go to the Senior Bowl. Like I want to go to Mobile, Alabama, go to the Senior Bowl, kick back, watch some practices, take in some things, just get to meet people and just talk to people and just get that whole experience in. I know Matt Miller does that. Like I've seen him kind of talk about things, and I'm just like, that's the place. If I'm going to start before I try to go to the big leagues, like if I can get down there to the Senior Bowl, that'd be dope.
Mm-hmm. That's same here. My dream is, I think college sports are a little bit more exciting than professional sports. That's when you're covering those kind of evaluation processes.
I like this guy.
Because those guys are actually playing to get somewhere.
Yep.
And I feel like in the NFL, you get highlight plays and the presentation looks great. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Professional sports have their place in sports entertainment. We can't deny that. They've been around for NFL, 100 years? I think the NBA, around 100 or more, somewhere in there. Of course, we know what baseball is, has been. But when you talk about the evaluation process and what college football brings to American sports culture, and you look at the East-West Shrine game, you look at the Senior Bowl, and you look at what those guys are doing out there and the excitement, I would love to be down there to cover those guys. Mobile, and plus it's Mobile, Alabama, so there's nothing down there. I have family from Mobile, so I know there's nothing down there but the Senior Bowl at that time. So that would be, you can, when you want to say eat, sleep, drink, breathe, football, college football all day for at least a week, the Senior Bowl would be it.
So you're talking war language with that. College football is the best, is more entertaining and more fun to watch than the pro game.
For sure. College football time, just look at ESPN. If look at those guys. Look at any sports publication, even to the 3-point conversion. Even though we talk professional football, college football, and shout out to Kyle Nash and Derek Worley, some of our college football writers. Those guys make you want to tune into those games because they're amazing. They're amazing. Those games, you see so much. You see so many highlights. I never forget a couple of years back, the Braxton Miller spin against Virginia Tech. That was all over. That was all over ESPN, and it overshadowed a lot of professional guys. Why? Because you didn't see that in professional sports. You didn't see a guy going from quarterback to receiver, and because of that kind of position fluidity and guys trying to make names for themselves going into the draft, and some of them are seniors, and some of these guys you've seen them come up from freshmen. You've seen like Trevor Lawrence, for example. We've seen him go through progression, as from a freshman to now a junior, a draft eligible junior, and he's done nothing but win and make your jaw drop. So we could be all day talking about college football.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're here with draft analyst Courtland Griffin from the 3-point conversion. All right, so I'm going to make you a GM. And then, Ward, you can follow up. I'll let you chime in on this as well.
All
right. So I'm going to make you a GM. What's your blueprint? You're at your opening press conference. What's your blueprint for building your team through the draft?
And this is just any team?
Yeah, we expansion. Let's just start from scratch, right? We're not going to say it's any particular team. This is the 33rd franchise. We're going to say the Nashville, right? I mean, granted, there's already a team in Nashville. We're just going to create we're going to put a second team in Nashville. All right. So
I'm a Titans fan, but I'm pretty sure they're going to hate me, but it's fine.
What's your blueprint for building your franchise?
Well, let's take the Titans blueprint, for example. Let's build a defense first. Let's go get us a high quality defensive end, high quality safety, bookend corner, and build from there. And then offensive line and quarterback, I can interchange. I believe you can interchange. I will, of course, being an upstart franchise, you would probably want to go and get a quarterback first. But you need to protect them. So, like I said, those can be interchangeable. It just depends on what you want to do and where you are. Do you trust the quarterback that you have coming in, or what have you? But offensive line, I would go offensive line first, quarterback second. And then from there, skill positions. You can always go get wide receivers. You can always make a blockbuster trade here or there to go get a guy who's just disgruntled and wants to, make a name. And ego plays a big part in that. So I know me. I know I had the ego when I played. And you always want to go to a place where you're going to be the big man on campus, or you can help a team win and kind of get that hurrah hero credit. It kind of I call that a legacy builder. When you go to a team and they have nothing's been there before, so you get to go in and kind of puff your chest out a little bit. And so I would probably go get those guys second. Wide receivers, because today is a passing league, you got to put up points. And a running back second, and then add a tight end because you need that safety valve and that big body.
Okay. All right. So we're this is an all Tennessee expansion. So we're putting the team in Knoxville now. All right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee, the Volunteers have not been good. So we want to boost morale in the city of Knoxville, and we want to give them an expansion franchise.
Well, first and foremost, just know that this expansion franchise is going to have the best fans in college football or in NFL football, right? So just so we know now that we're in Knoxville. But no, I mean, just kind of piggybacking off what Courtland said. I think football is won in the trenches. I think that being able to protect the quarterback and being able to pressure the quarterback are two of the most necessary things, when it comes to, the NFL and, drafting your team. So I definitely would probably start out at left tackle, and I'd probably move to defensive end or definitely on the defensive line side. I think one of a position that we tend to kind of, I don't want to say we underrate it or not, because there's a lot of diva type guys, but I think defensive back, I think having a lockdown corner to me is definitely a huge asset on the defensive side. So yeah, I'm going to start at left tackle. I'm probably going to move to the defensive line. And what else I'm going to do is I'm going to trade picks. I'm going to get as many picks as possible. And so I'm going to be in that back office, trying to make a one into a late 1 and 2 twos, or doing all of that kind of stuff if I'm actually building, because just as an expansion team, being able to have a bunch of guys there, being able to analyze them and see them play and then cut people accordingly is going to be super important. So. But yeah, I'm with Courtland. We know it's a pass first league, so things like running back and things like interior defensive line, I think, is maybe taking a little bit of a hit. I think we're more kind of edge rushers than we are your big. What was the guy's name for Green Bay? Gilbert. You remember the big nose tackle that was like 390 pounds, and just like there was a point in time in football where those guys were effective because they just clogged up the interior running, but we've kind of gravitated away from that. So but yeah, fast linebackers, speed kills these days. We need fast linebackers. We need people that can tackle. And then quarterback wise, quarterback is kind of the most important position on the field. I just think people don't realize how much, we saw it in the Super Bowl. You can have the best quarterback in the NFL, but if you can't protect him, or if you can't, pressure the other quarterback, it's not going to get you anything, Yeah. So I think that, basically I'm the same way. Like, I start on that left tackle, I move to the defensive end, find my defensive back, and then start filling in the gaps with what's available as far as quarterback, safety, linebackers, different things like that. So.
Okay. I'm very, as someone who thinks that the quarterback position is overhyped and overpraised, it warms my heart to see that you guys started in the trenches, because that's the type of guy I am. Like you said, if you can't protect them, if you can't get to them, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I appreciate that from both of you guys. But speaking of quarterbacks, I am a Niners fan. I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan. 30-something years in the making. Yes, yeah, 30 years in the making. Appreciate it.
You are one of few. There's a lot of post 2009 fans after those the multiple playoff runs that came out of nowhere.
I lived through the Tim Rattay years, the Kim Dorsey years, the Jim Druckenmiller years. Yeah, I lived through all them years. You know what I'm saying? And stay true, stay loyal to the soil. So, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch trade up to number 3, and all the talk is that they're going to take Mac Jones at number 3. Please, I'm a Niners fan. Can you make me feel okay about, sell me on why them taking Mac Jones at number 3 is a good idea?
If I had to sell you why it's a good idea, you're looking at a guy who comes from Alabama, who's played around big-time talent. He's played with wide receivers who have, range and skill level from, ultra great and Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith to mid-tier guys. And then on top of that, he knows how to work and manage within a system. Kyle Shanahan, just like his father, Mike Shanahan, those are system guys. You have to have quarterbacks that are willing to be coached. You have to have a quarterback that's willing to play within that system and also humble himself enough to be coached and play in the system. So Mac Jones is that. He throws a great ball. I don't have any questions about his ability to play the game. My only question about him, if you have a question mark, is the fact that he's coming out of Alabama. We've only seen a couple of guys be successful coming out of that school at that position. For a long time, it was Joe Namath. That was the only Alabama quarterback that you can name that actually had a tenure in the NFL that meant anything. So now you have a guy like Mac Jones. You have Tua. He actually got to play up under Tua. So you have that and learn from that guy. We've seen what he's been able to do with the Dolphins in a short span. And I believe that his stature is, of course, bigger. His arm has a little more pop to it. He's a little bit more accurate than Tua was. He reads the ball. He reads defenses a lot better. So if you're a 49ers fan and they do take Mac Jones at 3, his progression, if anything, you get a Tom Brady like progression. You get a Tom Brady like progression, which is why he's also I have had him attached to the Patriots since the beginning. So that, and the reason I said, and the reason I had him that is because he's the type of guy that Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick they love to have, and they have for a better part of 20 years in Tom Brady. Is he more athletic than Tom Brady? Of course, who's not? But he has a liver arm. He's younger, but he's cut from that mold. If you look at what Tom Brady did at Michigan during that draft process, when he came in, all the guy did was win in college. He dug Michigan out of many a hole. And so Mac Jones, he's won in college, and he dug Alabama out of holes. He played front runner. He can play front runner. He can dig you out of a hole. He's even keel. He's fun. He has the greatest dad bod in college football. It's fun. So if you're a 49ers fan, if you're a 49ers fan, is he a California personality? Not by any means, but you're also not in Los Angeles. So you don't have to worry about that. You're in San Francisco. You need a guy that can come in there and be that Joe Montana kind of steadying presence there and kind of embody what that team has always been, which is hard work, and winning culture. And that's what this guy is.
I appreciate you attempting to make me feel a little bit better about them taking Mac Jones at number 3, but it's still a no.
I don't have him. You asked me a question, so I was bound by the question. But personally, where I have the 49ers going, I know I've heard the Trey Lance rumors. I don't think Trey Lance goes that high, even though, we'll get to that later. But Justin Fields is the guy that I think you need to have in San Francisco. He's cut from a better mold. He's a guy that is coachable. He has the skill set that Kyle Shanahan would love to have, and something that he didn't get. I don't think he's had ever in his career. If you look throughout his career, he's never had a guy like Justin Fields to kind of play chess with on the field, and that's the kind of player, and that's the kind of guy that Mike Shanahan would love to have, because Mike Shanahan could play chess with John Elway.
Yeah.
Why not give his son something to build with? And if he can build the same legacy in San Francisco that Mike, his father, built in Denver, go for it.
Hey, what you about to say?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting too, because I don't know if you know, but you probably do know, Mac Jones is one of the guys who benefited, I think, supremely from playing in the East-West Shrine, the Senior Bowl. So when you look back at it, you look at a guy like Justin Fields, who probably is going to, dominate that combine, that, 40 time, the vertical, the bench press, and all that kind of stuff. And then you look at a guy like Mac Jones, who, maybe going into that Senior Bowl, before he took reps and before he did that things, people were questioning, was he going to be able to perform well at a pro day or at a combine? So I think it is funny, but I really firmly believe that you have to ask yourself, how, the safest pick to me is Mac Jones. Do you want to be safe, though? Did you trade up to be safe, if that makes any sense? Because Mac Jones is, I think that he kind of has all of these things, like playing for Alabama, playing under Nick Saban, being coachable. I feel like you have a comfortability knowing that you're going to get what you're going to get. Whereas Justin Fields, and that's why I would say I disagree with Courtland, but I would touch on this too. Ohio State quarterbacks are just as bad, if not worse than your Alabama quarterbacks when it comes to who they're producing. With your Braxton Millers and your Cardale Joneses and your different things like that. So, and I watched Justin Fields last year, and I watched him play 4 or 5 good teams with their shortened schedule or whatever, and he just didn't look as good on the field. So I just thought it was interesting as you're talking about those two players, Justin Fields and Mac Jones. You have Mac Jones who benefited from that Senior Bowl, who benefited from seeing live action. And then you have a Justin Fields who you're kind of I know that, probably in the college football playoff and different things, you're impressed from like a physical stature standpoint. So, but what do you want? I mean, I don't think you traded up to be safe. So that's why I think you don't take Mac Jones. I think that you probably could have gotten him before you traded up.
You definitely could have gotten him 12.
We have these quarterbacks. When you're looking at like the Trey Lance that everybody talks about as like a top, it's like the guy played for North Dakota State. He's only played 17 games ever, but he's playing at North Dakota State. You know what I mean? And like, there's questions outside of probably Trevor Lawrence and maybe Zach Wilson that reside in these next three guys, But I think the biggest thing is like, what did you trade up for? Like don't trade up and trade all this stuff away just to play it safe and grab Mac Jones. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make too much sense to me. So
yeah, and listen, man, I agree. I said this on Twitter on our Brains and Bars Twitter profile, a Twitter page. Like, to me, if he takes Mac Jones, this is Kyle Shanahan saying that my system is the star and my system makes the player, versus taking a talent in Fields or even Trey, even in Lance, and saying, okay, I'm going to take what you do great, what you do well, and use my system to accentuate that, and then take the potential you have within my system and make that potential shine. Like, to me, when you look at this is what they did with Mahomes, right? You had Mahomes, who had this incredible talent. Andy Reid's system, I feel like he when he got, even with Alex Smith, even with Michael Vick, right? You've seen this with these different, even Kevin Kolb worked for a bit, right? Within that system of getting these players and accentuating what they do well and highlighting that within the system. Like, don't tell me you're a genius but you say, well, I can only take this type of player within my system, right? Like, getting Kirk Cousins Jr. at number 3 does not excite me at all, right? Like, because that's the comparison I've seen made. Or getting Jimmy Garoppolo Jr. at that position, like, that doesn't excite me. Like, go and take Lance, go and take Fields, take that potential that they have, take the strengths that they have, and marry it to your system and be great. Like you said, you traded 3 first-round draft picks. Like, swing for the fences. And Mac Jones is just like a nice little single right up the middle, and it's just like, you could, like you guys said, you could have gotten him at 12. You didn't have to jump up. You could, at least if you felt like people were going to grab him at maybe the top 8, you could have jumped up to maybe 6 and still made that happen. So
you kind of took what I was going to say. You already have a game manager on the roster. We've seen how that's worked. And I'm not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is not a good quarterback. I'm not saying that, because when they traded for him, I immediately said that I was like, Bill Belichick is checking out. This is his last hurrah. He's crippling the Patriots, and he's going to retire. But then, and then of course, a year later, they're in the Super Bowl. So it kind of gives you that courage that, okay, we know what we can do when we have a guy with this skill set. Let's go get the upgraded version of Jimmy Garoppolo. And Mac Jones, he's more athletic. He has a better arm. He can read better on defense. He played in the best conference in college football right now. So he's played against pro-ready. And it hurts me to say that because I'm an ACC guy. Yeah. But the SEC is where the SEC is where it's at. They pump out professional caliber players. If you look at the top 10 prospects in college football every year, SEC guys. Yep. But Mac Jones is amazing. But like you said, you don't go to be safe. You don't trade up to be safe. And it wasn't until they traded up that you saw Mac Jones' name even jump into the top 10 or top 3. So if that prospect is following this team, you know what I'm saying, up the scale here, then that tells me I don't think that these guys are going there. I think it's a smokescreen. I think that you go and get Justin Fields. The only knock on Justin Fields, and I get dogged about this often, that I don't say anything positive about Justin Fields, but he The knock on him is he goes through his progression slow. He kind of holds the ball, and he kind of is robotic in his progression and his reads, and it gets him into a lot of trouble, which means he has to use his legs more. My other knock on him is that he settles to run first rather than if it's 3rd and 12 and you're in the NFL. I don't want my quarterback running for 15 or running for 9 and getting his clock cleaned. I need a guy that can throw the ball 10 and let the receiver run for 2 rather than resorting to using his legs. But this is where you have to have faith in your coach. And this is why the draft process, other draft analysts, I feel like missed the ball. When I do evaluations, I look at the coaching, the system, what you already have in place, and what player fits and elevates your team. And then, of course, I take into account the rankings, and of course, you have to take into the natural progression of the draft. So you do have to look at that. But there's other factors. Kyle Shanahan, that name alone, carries weight. Shanahan carries weight in the NFL regardless. But we know we've seen him do it. We've seen him completely go from passing the ball and being a guy that does a vertical pass game and uses tight end to being a run-first team where they had a 3-headed monster and they made it to the Super Bowl with a quarterback that was only passing for 100 yards maybe a game, 120. And then so now you can get both of those and marry those together with Justin Fields. Why? You have a guy with legs and size, the legs and kind of a smaller Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
But the power and the accuracy of, I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers. I would say more or less Patrick Mahomes-like accuracy and arm strength. You can coach around progression, slow progression. You make it easy for them. You get them a couple rollouts. You move the pocket. You have Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel there. They're some of the best run after catch, short yardage, short route runners in the game. You got George Kittle there. You have the running back. I can't remember. I never can. Yeah,
yeah.
Right. So you got these guys there in place. You got a defense in place. You just need to add that cherry on top, which is a quarterback. And I think Justin Fields is that guy. Don't be afraid if you get Mac Jones. I think he's the starter by week 6. But if you get Justin Fields, you can feel comfortable that he'll come in and he'll change the culture there.
All right, that's what's up. Here with Courtland Griffin from the 3-point conversion. He's a draft analyst for them over there on it. It's a black and white thing with A1 and A Ward. So I'm going to start with A Ward and I'm going to come to you, Courtland. So I want you to rank I guess we'll say 5 quarterbacks, right? So A Ward, I'll start with you. Rank the 5 quarterbacks 1 to 5. Who on your quote unquote big board? Rank them for me real fast.
I think Trevor Lawrence is 1. I would have Zach Wilson at 2. I would have Justin Fields at 3, Trey Lance at 4, and Mac Jones at 5.
Okay. So Courtland, how about you? Do you have that same order?
With some nuances. And I got a tie at the bottom. So I got Trevor Lawrence at 1, Zach Wilson at 2. Depends on your flavor. You can kind of interchange those two guys. They both bring some of the same things, but of course, Trevor Lawrence is the best prospect since Peyton Manning to ever come out of college football. So you got Trey. I got Trey Lance at 3. I think he's bigger, stronger than Justin Fields. He throws. I mean, he has a cannon when he throws the ball. I don't know if you guys watched any of his pro days, but
his pro day was crazy.
Those receivers had ice on their hands after those passes were coming out. Definitely those 5 to 10 yard slants. He's putting pop on the ball. Justin Fields is 4th, but like I said, between those two guys, these top 4 guys, it's just whatever your flavor is. What do you want from a guy? I think you can kind of teams can interchange those guys. Down the bottom, I have a tie 5. I have Mac Jones and Kyle Trask tied for 5.
Oh,
and
okay.
To me, it's because, like I said, SEC Mac Jones played in a run first. Nick Saban hasn't changed his philosophy since he's been at Alabama. Run the ball, pass it vertically, score points. That's it. Hold the opposing team to 0 if possible, and run up the score. And once we get into the third quarter, throw the ball, and throw the ball some more.
Okay.
The philosophy hasn't changed. But Kyle Trask has played in the pro system. He's big, he's strong, he can move a little bit, but he makes all the professional throws. If you look at his tape, he makes every professional throw there is on the field. And he played around this talent and put up more production.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I think it's a tie. Mac Jones has the name, but Kyle Trask has the talent.
I'm gonna clip this up for Loso because Loso's so our homie Loso, he's a Florida fan. So he's definitely gonna be excited to hear that Kyle Trask did just as much with less. So that'll excite him.
For sure.
And from the comment section, Norris, I am proud to be a 49er fan. Get out of here, you Ram fan. We're not talking about you right now.
All 49ers fans should be proud, man. They got championships.
And one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time, Steve Young. Anyway, so what's going on?
I don't want to say that. I'm a Montana fan, but I can't touch Steve Young.
Hey, Warren, you got a list? You got your list?
Of top 5, the order?
I got a sleeper. I didn't know if you was going through a list.
My 5, I think, is similar to yours. I mean, it's Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance, and then Mac Jones. So that's my list. Who's your sleeper?
Kellen Mond from Texas A&M. Kellen Mond. Listen.
Oh my!
I'm telling you, that's my day, my late round sleeper of quarterback wise, right there. Like I don't want to compare him to like Dak Prescott or anything like that or whatever. But I think Kellen Mond is a guy. He benefited hugely from the Senior Bowl, and I think he's projected probably 5th or 6th round or something like that. But
he's projected. Carlos was right. He is projected to go in the 2nd round somewhere.
Second.
But this is why I say, as a draft analyst, you have to kind of pay attention to who says those things, and you have to pay attention to when these guys are going through pro days and the build up, because the team scouts don't look at it the same. He's a 4. I say he's no later than a 4th round.
Yeah.
He might fall to the 5th round depending on where the need goes and what team you see picking him up. I've seen him projected to Houston. I have him projected to Houston in the 5th round. But you're right. I didn't think of putting him in there. But Kellen Mond is a sleeper. But another guy that was possibly a 1st round or a 2nd round pick if he came out earlier is Ian Book. And hear me out. There are plenty of Notre Dame fans. I'm pretty sure you guys have some Notre Dame fans that watch.
I'm a Notre Dame fan, so like you're shocking the mess out of me by saying 2nd round. Like
no, he's not saying 2nd round. He's just saying sleeper.
He's a sleeper. But But here's the thing: he was a 1st round, or he was projected as a 1st round, 2nd round pick a couple of years ago when he was eligible to come out. I think he should have came out then. He decided to stay in school. The thing about Ian Book is he do Andrew Luck like production one game, and then he falls off the face of the earth the next game. But the physical tools are there. 6 foot, I think 6'3", 6'4", 225, 230-pound kid. Great arm. If you look at the Senior Bowl, him and Kellen Mond actually went tit for tat as far as who was going to be the MVP of that game. They both looked great, and I expected that from Ian Book, because I was like, if you're going to come out here, you cannot allow these guys who haven't played as great as you have to upstage you. Kellen Mond, I think, just came out and played amazing football. But Ian Book is a guy that if you look at what he's been able to do, his body of work, if you take the inconsistency out, would you coach that out from under, and you put him in a system like a Patriot system, like a Kyle Shanahan system, depending on where they go, or any coach. You take him, you put him, if you drop him in up under Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, for a year or two, you could have a guy who's a starter for the next 10 to 15 years. He's going to give you a heart attack or two. He's going to have inconsistent days. It's just ingrained in his DNA, but he's going to be good. What quarterback doesn't have a down game against a good defense in the NFL? It happens. So you can't hold that against the guy. And these guys haven't played professional ball. They're essentially in the amateur circuit in college, but it's a damn good amateur circuit. I think Ian Book is another guy who can be a sleeper in that same vein as a Kellen Mond.
Okay, so we're getting close up on our time. We have Courtland Grant, draft analyst from the 3-point conversion. So I want to see if we can get through this next couple of topics kind of rapid fire. Right. So if you could give us give us some day 3 prospects that we should be on the lookout for, people that we think either this coming season or the next couple of years you'll see and say, oh yeah, that guy who got drafted 3rd, 4th, 5th round is a game changer.
I think you have to look at the safety out of USC, Talanoa Tafunga out of USC. He's a guy that can play that weird Sua Cravens kind of hybrid safety linebacker position, but he's a ball hawk. And in today's NFL, where you have safeties that are putting on 10 to 15 pounds and playing linebacker, he can do that and be a coverage guy, a la Lance Kendricks or Eric Kendricks. I'm sorry, which one of those Kendricks? There's so many of them. There's so many of them in the game right now. That's a family bloodline with a lot of talent, but he's one of those guys. I think you got to look at the brother of Greedy Williams, Trill Williams, out of Syracuse. Long mirror corner. He's projected to be a 3rd round guy. But I mean, he could jump up into the 2nd round depending on, like I said, need and what the evaluation process is. But he's better. If he played in the SEC school, had he gone to LSU or one of those schools, I think he's a 1st round pick. But you're talking about a guy that can flip his hips, run with your fast receiver, play big with your big receiver, play in that dead man space, no man's land with your slot receiver. He can do it all over the field. He's a guy that I think you have to look at. I'm going to go with a guy who has some family ties here in Nashville. I'm going to go with Mike Vrabel's son. He plays at Boston College. I can't remember his first name, but I've evaluated him really close. He's a tackle. He's very fluid in the hips. He's a mauler. Of course, his father was a defensive player, but that lets you know that he got taught pretty well how to block against some of the best pass rushing skills you've ever seen. So he can do that. He's a day 3 guy. You could probably give him in the 6th or 7th round and have a guy who can come in and play that swing tackle position or guard. So I think those are some names that you have to look at and really pay attention to, because those 3 names alone, and there's a million of them that you can name day 3s. And this is a very deep draft, but those guys alone will, I think, 4 or 5 years from now, you'll say, okay, those guys are guys I wish my team would have drafted, or I'm glad my team drafted.
Okay, so as we close out, so me and Ward both live in Kansas City. We got a homie who's a Dallas fan, and we got a guy Loso who's a Florida fan. He's also a Vikings fan. I can't remember why he's a Vikings fan, but that's neither here nor there right now. So I want to start in Kansas City. The first couple of rounds, like, who do you think that the Chiefs should be looking at drafting with their first two rounds?
Okay, so the Kansas City Chiefs, I have them taking Christian Darrisaw, tackle, out of Virginia Tech. You have to replace those 2 guys. You have to replace Eric Fisher and Schwartz. You have to. If the Super Bowl was any indication, you need an offensive line around Patrick Mahomes for that offense to work. 2nd round, any linebacker that you can pick up. There's going to be plenty left on the board We know Michael Parsons is going to be gone. Dylan Moses, I think, is a guy that they should go look at. Alabama. I originally had him slated to go in the first round, but of course, as the evaluation process goes, he's more of a second round pick. But he's cut out of that Telvin Smith kind of mold. Fast, sideline to sideline, can pass coverage, can play in pass coverage, which they got burnt on that side of the ball by Gronk all game last year in the Super Bowl. So you need to go look at those two guys. Who's the next team?
So Cowboys, my other homie who's also named Carlos, he has the misfortune of being a Cowboys fan. Also, my father's a Cowboys fan. First 2 rounds, who do you think the Cowboys should target?
Patrick Surtain, easy. You got to up your game on the defensive end in this division. Teams know that division are building defense. Washington won the division based off of their defense, and then New York is building a monster on the offensive side, and they could possibly take a tight end out of Florida by the name of Kyle Pitts. So if you put him and then Ingram, you need somebody that can match up. And Patrick Surtain actually did match up with Kyle Pitts in that Florida matchup a couple of times, and it looked good. And so he looked good. He's a big, lanky guy, 6'2", I think 210 pounds, somewhere in there. So he's a bigger corner. But you're talking about a guy that can flip his hips, great ball skills, and be a lockdown guy. He's one of them. And then I would say best player available in the second round for the Cowboys, preferably a defensive player. Go defense. Offense, you're fine. I don't think you really need offense unless you're going to go get a receiver. But receivers so deep this year, you can wait till the 3rd, 4th round and get a starter. So I think best player available on the defensive side, preferably a pass rusher, because Lawrence, he got paid all that money. DeMarcus Lawrence got paid all that money, and ever since he got paid, he hasn't really produced. So go get somebody that can either rush up the middle and give you a middle rush pass rush presence, or get his eventual replacement.
Okay, and so the last team on that list, the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think they should do with their two round pick? Sorry.
So I have them going with a pass rusher out of Miami, Gregory Rousseau.
Okay.
Danielle Hunter worked best when it was him and Everson Griffin firing off the edge in Minnesota. And if you want to start another purple people eaters, you start there. Got this guy. I've heard people down on and say, "Oh, he's a 4th round pick because he didn't test well at his pro day." You have to watch the tape. The guy is a generational pass rush talent. He can come off the edge and do it all. In the 2nd round, you have to replace what you lost at receiver. I know Justin Jefferson is there, and he's going to be great, but you need somebody in the slot. Adam Thielen can probably take over the slot duties, but if you're going to get a guy, Adam Thielen needs to work outside. I think he works better outside. Go get you a guy, maybe an Elijah Moore, maybe a Rondale Moore. I like Rondale Moore, and I'm gonna show some bias here. I just hope Elijah Moore drops to the Titans. But in all seriousness, I need Rondale Moore. I think Rondale Moore fits in Minnesota. Small, 5'7", 40-inch vertical. Is one of the most elusive guys with the ball in his hand. And also, just to play devil's advocate here, another Florida guy, Kadarius Toney out of Florida. He would fit that system up there too because he's fast, shifty, can't touch him in a phone booth. When he gets the ball in his hand, he turns into a running back, a la Tyreek Hill, kind of not as fast, but he can make things happen when he has the ball in his hand. So if you're Minnesota, defense, offense in the first 2 rounds.
Okay. All right. So, Courtland, we appreciate you joining us. We thank you. Before we have you pop off, I just want to allow you to get a plug in for the 3-point conversion and the work that you guys do there.
Oh, yeah. So I'm one of many talented writers at the 3-point conversion. I want to shout out to our team there. Danny Thompson, of course, was mentioned. Mike Patton, Derek Worley, Kyle Nash, all of those guys, Raphael, Haynes, D Intellectual, Dennis Pendleton, all of those guys, man, come see us over there. We cover everything from A to Z in sports, plenty of football, baseball, basketball, NBA talks. Also tune into the 3-point conversion on Saturday mornings, the radio show where Dennis and Raph are talking all the hot topics and hottest topics in football, baseball, and all sports. Also, if you want more draft analytics, more mock drafts, I will have a final mock draft coming out before the draft this upcoming week. So come over to the 3pointconversion.com. That's the THE 3 conversion.com and come see us.
All right. So he is Courtland Griffin from the 3-point conversion. Sir, we thank you very much for joining us. We will not be the last time. So we're going to have you back on. Seeing that you and A-Ward are kindred, SEC is everything, Spirits, and I'm not anti-SEC. I'm just
an SEC fan.
I'm an ACC guy, but I'm a Nashville-born, Nashville-raised kid. So of course, you got Vanderbilt here in Nashville. You got UT up the mountain there in Knoxville. I'm not that far from Tuscaloosa. You got Florida coming here. Then of course, the ACC tournament is held here every year. So naturally, you get to see those guys up close and personal. And like I said, even if you're a football fan, man, it's just hard to deny those guys pump out talent.
We might have a road trip to obviously to Knoxville too, but to
I'm from Knoxville.
Nashville.
I don't know if you know, but I'm from Knoxville, so I'm a huge Tennessee.
Yeah, you were Kansas City? So what? 8? What is it, like 6.5, 7, 8 hours?
So to Nashville, it's about 7.5.
Yeah, my father-in-law, my wife's father lives there, so So
I played all my state tournaments in Nashville back in 2004 in high school and stuff.
But you guys, like I said, you guys have a fan in me. I love what you guys are doing here. This is a great show, and I'm looking forward to be a part of it more often.
Yes, sir. We will definitely have you back. So he is Courtland Griffin, draft analyst from the 3-point conversion. Thank you very much, sir, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
All right, Ward. So that was a good appearance from Courtland. We appreciate him joining us and being with us this evening. Draft is coming up pretty soon, coming up next Thursday, as a matter of fact. What you want to do? So do you want to talk about the Super League or do you want to jump into battle rap?
We can talk about the Super League. I'm kind of excited about college football and NFL and draft stuff right now, so I'm with it.
So here's the deal, right? So for those of you who obviously we do not talk a lot of soccer, we definitely don't talk a lot of European football on this show. But over the weekend, a bunch of hubbub went down when 12 of the more premier teams in European soccer said they were going to break away to create their own Super League. This drew backlash. The Prime Minister of England chimed in. Fans all over the world chimed in. UEFA, which is one of that runs the Champions League, said, "Hey, we want you guys banned from international it was just a big hullabaloo, right? Big hubbub, right? So this got me to thinking, what if in the NCAA, if 16 teams decided to come together and say, we're going to form our own Super League, we're breaking away from conference affiliations, we're going to form our own league, we're in our own games, own tournament, own championship. What 16 teams would be in the Super League? Now, Ward, here's where I'm going to start with you. I need you to provide a justification for Tennessee to be in this Super League. Right now, I don't think Tennessee should be in the Super League. I got 16 teams. You're gonna tell me which one should be booted to make room for Tennessee, because Tennessee did not make the cut.
All right, that's fine. Because I have 8, 16, 20. I have 23 teams that are even like a possibility, right?
Okay.
So I got locks. I got the second tier, and then I got basically 7 other teams, right, that are kind of here and there, right?
So work back. Start with your locks.
Okay.
I'll start with your second tiers and who missed the cut, and then work your way up to your 16.
Okay. So here's 3 teams that are, and you might say, what? You know what I mean? You might just go, really? Like, why? You know, but here's 3 teams that to me don't make the cut, but I would at least give them a mention. That's Oregon, West Virginia, and Washington. So that's 3 teams, 2 Pac-12, 1 from the Big 12. And I think that I have them in there because I just felt bad in my 20 that I listed, realizing that I only had 2 Big 12 teams and 2 Pac-12 teams. So because those 2 conferences are just, you know, kind of, I don't know, they are where they are. So I have Oregon, West Virginia, and Washington as 3 teams that are very, very fringe. If we were to put it in college basketball terms, it's what is it, last 4 out or something to that extent. So,
Yep.
Now my next 4 teams, and these teams are interchangeable with my 16. So these teams all have a voice in saying I should be a part of this 16. Now, I don't know about you, but mine's all Power 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my 16 is all Power 5. I have some honorable mentions that are non-Power 5.
Okay. I didn't do anything non-Power 5. But so the 4 teams that are on the, you know, we can put them up beside are Wisconsin, Texas A&M, UCLA, and Auburn.
Okay. So 3 of those teams are in I had 10 teams that missed the cut. So you said Washington, right?
So Washington, West Virginia, and Oregon were kind of like the 3 that I didn't even want to group them with these other 4. So they were kind of like, eh. But then I had Auburn, UCLA, Texas A&M, and Wisconsin as kind of the 4 that, like, if you said they're in your top 16, I say, all right, you probably can make a case for it.
All right. So yeah, Auburn, A&M, and Wisconsin were 3 on my list who just missed the cut. All right, continue.
Okay. So So all right. Now, obviously, 16th for me is Nebraska. All right. Now, this is what we have to talk about now. So now we have to talk about are we creating a 16 of the best teams of the last 10 years? Or we're creating something that's a super league that's breaking off, that's not like we're only here for a couple years, try this thing out type thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when I'm asking myself, all right, who puts out the best players? You know, who puts out NFL players? Because I want to watch NFL players play.
Yeah.
Who brings in the most money, has the biggest facilities, the biggest stadiums, the biggest, like, I go with like the history, the rich history, the different things like that, because at the drop of a dime, a coach or a system can come back and bring a college team, you know, back. So, and then I go with actually how you're playing, you know, like how have you, you know, performed when it comes to national championships, conference championships, bowl games, boom, 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 over the totality. So Nebraska is my 16th team. Tennessee is my 15th team. I have Tennessee in because when it comes to winning percentage, national championships, conference championships, bowl games, wins, bowl records, NFL draft picks, first-round draft picks, stadium capacity, revenue, just about anything in college basketball, Tennessee is outside of the top 16 in one category, and that's conference championships. Why? Well, because there's 5 other teams in our conference that are above us in this top 16. So yes, teams like Nebraska, teams like Tennessee, and then teams like my 14th team, Florida State, are teams that have not played or fared very well as of recent, but they still put out NFL players, they still fill stadiums, they still, you know. So I have Tennessee at 15, Florida State at 14. I have Penn State at 13. I have the University of Miami at 12. I have the Florida Gators at 11, the Georgia Bulldogs at 10, and the LSU Tigers at 9. So these last 8 teams, like I said, when you get down to the Tennessee, Nebraska, the Florida States, I think I wouldn't be mad if you were like, look, A&M, Auburn, UCLA. But I also was looking from a standpoint of like, all right, well, do we want to put 2 Alabama teams in here? Do we want to put 2 teams from the state of Alabama in here? Do we want to put 2 teams, from the state of Florida in here? So, there's just different factors as well. Then my locks at the top 8 are Alabama's obviously a lock at number 1. I have USC. I have Oklahoma. I have Ohio State. I have Notre Dame. I have Texas. I have Michigan. And I have Clemson. So those are my top 8 locks. And, I could argue Tennessee out solely based off the last decade of actual productivity in regards to, record and different things. At the same time, I think that, they still have put out NFL talent. They still have, the best fans in the world, the biggest facilities, and Nebraska's the same way. We went to the Nebraska game, and, they're terrible and they're still selling out. They're still, they're still Nebraska. So since it's creating a 16-team Super League, I went ahead and added teams like Tennessee and Nebraska and had teams like Wisconsin. Like, I personally just don't care to watch Wisconsin play ever. And they might, be there, teams like, even I didn't put Iowa. I didn't put, Colorado. I didn't put, there's just teams that, that might have somewhat of a, Georgia Tech, that storied history or whatever. And it's just kind of like who and why. So yeah, that's my 16-team Super League conference.
All right, so I'm going to start with – I had 10 teams who just missed the cut. Tennessee was one of the teams that just missed the cut. I did factor in your performance as of late. It's like, so, for me, that's what factored into the teams that made my list now. Right. And so, this is an alphabetical order. I didn't put them in numerical order. So the 10 that didn't make it, we got Cincinnati. Cincinnati as of late has been a lot better, but they're not – like you talk about footprint, relevance, Nebraska for that, just because they have been bad for so long. And even in this Super League, you're going to be going up against some SEC teams. You're going to have some traditional powers in Michigan and Notre Dame who are able to recruit at a higher level right now than Nebraska, that I just feel like if you bring them in, they're going to get their teeth kicked in every year. They're just not going to be able to compete. Oklahoma State. I think a team that's been good, but not quite there. Stanford, down as of late, but historically the past 10, 15 years been really good. Tennessee, I talked about. A&M, right on the cusp. UCF. UCF makes a lot of noise, but, Virginia Tech has the history, been so of late. Washington and Wisconsin. Those are the teams that barely missed the cut for me. So for the 16 that actually I have in there, in alphabetical order, I got 2 Alabama teams. You're going to have Alabama. You got to have Auburn because you're going to have the Iron Bowl. Auburn has been in the college football playoff within the last, I think, 5 to 6 years. And you just got to have those 2 teams in there. I got Clemson. I got 3 Florida schools. I got Florida, Florida State, LSU, Miami. That's my third Florida team. Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma. I got Oregon in there because they've been better as of late. And I think that you're getting that Northwest footprint in there, right? You got a West Coast team because the only other West Coast team I have in there is USC, right? So they got the West Coast region covered. Penn State, Texas, Georgia, and USC. So that's my 16. So like I said, Nebraska, I think the only we differ on Auburn. I got Auburn in. I got Oregon in. And there's a third one, I think. I thought there was a third one we differed on. Maybe not, but those 2 schools, I think
it might have been
Nebraska and Tennessee. Nebraska and Tennessee are where we differ. You have Nebraska and Tennessee in. I have Auburn and Oregon in. So how about this? If we're going to be co-commissioners, let's compromise. I'll give you the homie discount, and you get Tennessee in. And
you gotta get rid of Oregon.
I just feel bad. I mean, one, we have no Northeast representation in any of our lists. Like
that's true. That's true.
Like, I mean, like true. I feel like once you get up to Michigan, I think that's the highest furthest north we go.
Yeah.
But if you get Tennessee, I say we take Auburn out and we keep Oregon in. Oregon has been good. They're going to be able to recruit the West Coast. They're going to have that whole West Coast. Them and SC have the West Coast to themselves. And I think you kick Auburn out, keep Oregon in, and that's our 16.
Yeah. And like I said, like obviously I'm a Tennessee bias or whatever it may be. And that's why I said, like, I was trying to look at the totality of it, because there was a point in time when before Nick Saban got to Alabama where you would look at Alabama and you would say, look, if we were deciding to make this decision right now, Alabama has been pretty porous over the last 7 years. Like they've been, but even though they're Alabama, even though they're one of the most all-time winningest, football conferences of ever, you know what I mean? And then boom, Nick Saban happens, and then boom, like places like Nebraska and Tennessee, to me, with like fan base, facilities, and all of just kids still want to come to school there. They still want to play, there. So, like, I think that those teams, they're a coach away, or they're a all-star, recruit away from being back in that position, whereas, like I said, your Oregons, your Wisconsins, like, I feel like what you're getting every single year, and you're just kind of like, all right, So no, that's good. That's good. I figured we would have probably 14. Your Oregon one, it threw me a little curveball being in the top 16. But Auburn is hard to not put in the top 16. It's really difficult not to put them in the top 16.
Yeah.
UCLA, I had UCLA up there, but they've been pretty bad. But I think the UCLA was kind of one of those things, like you said, where it's like I need some representation out here. So
yeah, we just
need
it's top 4. Go ahead.
I was gonna say top 13, 14 teams right now, I think, are pretty cut and dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and you make a good point about both Tennessee and Nebraska, right? Nebraska has the tradition, and you could make the argument that for Nebraska, if you put them in this 16-team Super League, right, that it opens up the South more to recruiting for them, which in the Big Ten, it doesn't really allow them to get into those places as easily as say a Notre Dame, right? Notre Dame, because they have that ACC footprint, they're able to go into Florida. They're able to sometimes go into Texas and get kids. And so I could see I see the argument for both Nebraska and for Texas.
Yeah.
For Tennessee. I'm sorry, being in there. But y'all let us know what y'all think, man. Who would be in y'all Super League? I thought this was a super fun little deal to come up with. So hit us up. Let us know who your 16 teams would be and why. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, IG at Brains and Bars. Let's go ahead because the time is getting late. Let's jump into this battle rap thing real quick. Unless there's anything else sports wise you want to jump into.
No, I think I'm good. I don't know if you're still wanting to talk about Kevin Durant, but if it's not, we can.
I'll say. So I just want to touch on this real quick, and you can chime in if you want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, man, like this dude is king petty, super, super petty. So he's on with Wallow and Gilly, and they ask him his 5 favorite basketball players he's ever played with, right? So he says, well, he starts off with Kyrie and Harden, which, I'm not sure he's played 50 games with Kyrie yet.
Right.
Obviously, him and Harden have the OKC connection. Then he says Steph, Clay. Then he pauses for a second and then goes Ibaka.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so Wallow and Gilly like, dang. Like what? Like, what's up? You couldn't, what? And he's like, what, forget somebody? He's like, well, Russ, like you played with the guy for 9 years. Like, how could you?
Oh, I thought they were referring to Connor Ashley.
Right. No, Nick Collison. Maybe Nick Collison was the guy he forgot about.
Yeah, there you go. DJ
and so, he's like, oh yeah, Russ, that's right. My bad. I'll move, Ibaka out for Russ, and then I'll make Russ 4th and Clay 5th. And I'm like, Bro, really, fam? Like, first of all, your list is your list. Number one, like, I really don't begrudge people your list. I really don't. But yo, like, how do you play with Russ for 9 years? Y'all were a 3-1 lead away from the finals. Y'all made the finals. Like, I mean, I hate to use analogy. Y'all went to war together, but you can't put Russ in your top 5. And then the excuses people made. Oh, well, you just put a guy on the spot. It's hard to remember everybody. Come on, fam. No, it's not really hard to remember that you played with a future MVP, one of the best players of his generation, one of the best athletes. And my thing is if he didn't want to put Russ on there, at least stand on it. Like, because the second argument was, well, he said favorite, not best. And I'm just thinking, bruh, like, even still, I don't think if you said best, he was going to put Russ on there until they called him on it. And he's just like, come on, KD, bury the hatchet, bro. Let it go. Like, Russ is we're talking to the Russell Westbrook apologists right now. Understand this. But, yo, like, let it go. Like, either put the dude on your list or leave him out and be like, I said what I said. Like, Russ was a great guy to play with, but I enjoy playing with these guys more.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying from KD. If you don't feel like he's one of your 5, like, it's your list. But at least stand on it. Don't be like, I got somebody? Like,
it's not even like petty. Like, it's just like kind of corny, honestly. Like, I don't even know, like, because there's not like I guess there's always an ongoing little, like, whatever back and forth, but like, it's not fresh or anything. So it's just kind of like, why are we still on this? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Bro, I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm just like, I don't know if Russ like continue. Like, I know the talk has been, well, they were only work friends and that was it. And it's just like, okay, and like, he's still a great, like, I have people that most of the people I work with, I don't associate with outside of work. That doesn't mean that I won't sit here and be like, yo, these 5 people are the best coworkers I've ever had when it comes to
right.
So that's all I'm saying. The other thing I say about KD is I do hope his mental is good because the Nets, they're suffering through all these injuries. KD has a thigh contusion. He's missed a lot of games this year, and he just can't seem to get right health-wise. And one thing I know about these athletes is, one, they're creatures of habit, and when they go through these continual nagging injuries, it messes with their mental. So I do hope, despite my criticism, I do hope that his mental is okay. I do hope that he's doing okay and he's able to deal with the mental side of trying to come back from all these injuries and dealing with those injuries. But come on, KD, like, come on, fam. You got to be better than that, bro.
Yeah,
you got to be better than that. And JC, I don't know. I won't call KD a snake. But I mean, like, he's just super petty and he just refuses to let stuff go. And I think he's got to let whatever happened between him and Russ, unless Russ tried to like sleep with his girl or something, or like, like say something about his mom, like, you got to let that go, bro. You got to move on. Y'all let us know what y'all think. Y'all hit us up, IG, Twitter, Facebook, at Brands and Bars. How do you feel about KD leaving Russ momentarily out of his favorite 5? He left him out of his MySpace 8. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't.
He took him off the top 8.
He took him off the top 8. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let's jump into this battle rap thing, man. So, real quick, I want to say before we jump into the UM3 predictions, I just want to say one of the things I learned over the past week is that battle rap is in great shape. There's a lot of weirdos in battle rap. There's a lot of weirdo stuff that goes on in battle rap that makes you go, man, oh my God, like, where's this culture headed? But we got to go to the East Coast last week, went to Jersey. Your battle versus XL went down. And, I just want to say shout out to all the great people that I was able to meet out there. Obviously, all these people. You're cool with all these people. I know the whole guest thing in hip hop and in the culture is always tossed around. I always say I feel like a guest simply because I did not, like, y'all talk about battle rap like, oh, man, I remember the first 4-bar setup, man. Like, I feel like that's what y'all do when y'all get together. Is y'all have this incredible memories. Y'all talk about all these things that unless you were there from the beginning, you have to be there to understand it. I wasn't. I came and became a battle rap fan when you got into the culture. When not got into the culture, but once you started actively battling. And so, shout out to iBattle, bucket list thing for me to be able to attend an event there. I can see why Lex goes as hard for that brand and that company as he does. It's a real family feel to it. Between the fans and the battlers and the people who are running the event. Super, super dope. Although I was afraid I was going to get the event shut down. I think when the police showed up outside, I don't remember grazing the locker. I don't remember grazing the locker. I was talking to my wife. I was over by the lockers, or by the little gate things, and then police pull up, and I'm like, "Oh God, if they shut this event down, like, no, please don't shut it down." Please
Dog, you was trying to throw me an alley-oop, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. I see what you were trying to do.
But yeah, shout out to those guys, man. I really appreciate it being there. The event was dope. All the battles are dope. They're out on iBattle now on VOD. You can either purchase the entire event or single battles for $5.
Yep.
So, go and support them this weekend, I battle in Gates of the Garden, having I'm trying to think of a name to call it. This is like the SummerSlam, WrestleMania of battle rap events with all the battles they got going on this weekend. You'll be there taking on Polo. So that goes down this weekend in Atlanta. Then after that, trying to think the next day, I get to hang out with Real Deal, who greatest story, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, one of the greatest storytellers in battle rap. XQZ, The Source, we hung out with him for a little bit. Mad Flex, very nice people, very cool people to be around. We go to Champion. First of all, shout out to Jay Black.
Yep.
As seen on Champion. Shout out to Jay Black. Jay Black, you know what I'm saying? Like Jay Black, we show up to do Champion, and he says, "You want to be on the show?" And I'm like, not expecting that, super nervous to be there. The first time I talked, I really did need some water because I got cotton mouth because I was super nervous. I was excited to be there. Again, bucket list stuff to be on his platform. One of the best episodes of Restore Order I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that was
to be
so
a
good.
part of. Shout out to Swave and IP, Ill Will. Nice to just to chop it up with him a little bit.
Heavy bags.
Heavy bags. I tried to politely ask Uncle Ra to come on the show. He politely declined. But I do hope that somebody, I think he said that 15 Minutes of Fame is headed towards their 15-year anniversary. I do hope that someone is able to get him, who's closer to him, who knows him a little bit better than I do, will be able to get him to sit down and do an interview. He said he's only done like 2 in his entirety of his career. I think he's got a lot of stories, a lot of gems he could pass on to us that the culture needs. So shout out to them. Again, a really fun event. And JC, I book A-Ward. I will come out to a no-coast event. You know what I'm saying? I think was it Real Deal who tried to get us to the best of no coast? Was that the best of no coast video?
Yeah.
So I mean, just a really fun time, really great time, and I was really happy to be a part of that and everything that entails. So, with that being said, as seen on Champion, 50 Bullets.
Red shirt guy.
Hey, so he dropped the second half of the UM3 discussion, right?
Oh, he did?
So I went through the comments and somebody goes, "Hey, that looks like Mickey Fats."
Let's go. Two YTG comparisons, bro.
Oh my gosh, man.
Now. You are 100 Bullets and Mickey Fax doing a fusion dance.
Hilarious. So like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Like, shout out to I really go to the comments just to see who's slandering me and what they're saying. So shout out to Jay Black. Shout out to Champion, man. Let's get into this UM3, John. Also, let me shout out France. Got a chance to hang out with him a little bit too.
Yep.
That weekend. Let's Talk Battle Rap is having, if you want to throw in a parlay bet, $5?
Yep, $5 wins you $1,000.
$5 could get you $1,000. You got to hit all 8 winners, though. Which we'll talk about this as we go along. Let's go ahead and jump into this now. Cortez versus Official. Who you got?
Dog, my answers change like every other day, man. I don't even remember who I picked last week. There's only a few battles that I think are clear winners, and this is not one. I did hear Cortez say, I don't know if I want to say it.
Did he say it? Did he say it like on a platform?
No, when we were outside at the iBattle event.
Okay, yeah.
So, I'll just say this much. I think Cortez has the ability to pull an upset, you know? So I'm gonna take Cortez with the quote unquote upset, if you call it that, with the win over Official.
Yeah, it will be an upset. because I think people are expecting official to win. I think there's a lot of slander on Cortez's name right now. You know, I mean, they have him losing basically it's like his last 3 battles, right? They have him losing the Rum. They have him losing the Easy, maybe last 2. Oh, and Quest McCody, right? So they have him losing his last 3 battles on the URL platform. And so, you know, I think that people don't believe in him right now. And just kind of doing some research on the first Ultimate Madness tournaments, like I think there have been we're averaging 2 upsets per tourney, right? Okay. So if you're trying to hit this 8 battler parlay, right, you're going to have to take some risks and choose some upsets and also hit the 50-50 coin flip battles. And to me, this is one where I think Cortez pulls the upset. I think Official's an incredible puncher. And so, and with the 2-minute time limit, 2:30 grace period, like it gives her a chance to put a bunch back to back. But I'm going to take Cortez beating Official for my first upset. Let's jump into the next, Joan. Let's see. Let me get down to Geechee Gotti versus Riggs.
Yeah, I got Gotti winning this. I think it'll be a close match. I think Riggs will come out and put on I think it'll be one of those performances from Riggs where it's like, you might have lost, but like we want to see you again soon. So I think you'll see Riggs like on maybe a super fight card or something like that after the tournament, just based off how good he's been this year too. But $100,000 on the line. Geechee, you know, he's really, really good when he applies himself, and I think that he'll apply himself, and I think he'll win.
All right, I got Riggs. Oh no, sorry, I was thinking in my head what I was going to say. I got Geechee. I think Riggs is a dark horse, though. I think Riggs. If Gotti has one of those rounds like he had against Math Hoffa, where his second was kind of, I think Riggs. He's going. I mean, granted, he just battled Flacco. That's his last battle. He's had time to sit prepared for this. Like, I think he's going to come. Like you said, he's been on a. I don't want to say career high run, but he's been really, really impressive to start the year. And if Gotti messes around. I mean,
it takes a very losable battle.
Mess up one round and then Riggs takes one more. We can be talking. I mean, that you want to talk about brackets ruined. Throw it in the trash if Riggs wins this battle. And that's big motivation for him as well because he's going to be a heavy underdog.
Can I tell you, I shed a tear when I saw Geechee Gotti in the tournament.
Why?
Because, I mean, right now, the only clear loss that he has is A. Ward. And now, no matter what, if he doesn't win the tournament, I'm going to share that with somebody else.
That's hilarious, yo. All right, Jerry West versus Swamp.
I got Jerry West. Winning that. I think it's kind of a coin flip battle. I think Swamp he needs it more than Jerry West does. I think Swamp has kind of become a little bit forgotten since he, beat New Jersey Twerk. So I think that the battle is huge for Swamp to win. If he doesn't, I think that he could kind of fall down into like Swamp was on his way to maybe being like a borderline top tier, kind of like what Easy's doing right now. He was doing what Easy's doing before, so definitely needs the win. But I got Jerry West. I got Jerry West as a possible winner of the whole tournament. So
I'm gonna take West. I mean, but I'm not confident in the pick, not because I'm not confident in Jerry West and the battler that he is, but like you said, I think there's a lot on the line for both of them. Like, I feel like we haven't seen West in a while. I'm trying to think the last.
When he 30 Danny? Didn't he 30 Danny whenever Loso battled EK? Is that when that?
Was that the battle? Did that happen? I got to look that up. Like, I honestly don't remember the last time I saw Jerry West. Like, I'm thinking, I don't remember the last time I saw Jerry West. Like, I'm actually on the URL app right now, like trying to look this up to see if I can find out.
Yeah, I mean, remember Danny had the like steam coming off his head, and I think Jerry West 30'd him.
So that was a volume. Was that the volume, Joe?
No, that was the anniversary joint with Loso and EK.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it now. Okay, yeah. You're right. So he's been sitting for a minute, but I do think for both of these guys, like, these are big plates because if whoever loses, like, I just feel like you're not going to hear from them again for another 3 or 4 months on the platform. So I'm going to take Jerry West, but I wouldn't be surprised if Swamp won.
Yeah.
All right. Jack Boy versus T-Top.
T-Top. Next.
I want to go Jack Boy here. I'm gonna go.
So this is your second upset.
This is my second upset. I'm going to go Jack Boy here, winning this battle. So I don't have a whole lot to add to it. Like I said, I think you said it as seen on Champion. I think that you said that that if an angle for T-Top, maybe he can't get it executed in the time limits, or if it doesn't hit within that time limit. And if Jack Boy, can show, I said if he can show some personality, take some angles, and I think Jack Boy can be kind of unorthodox at time. This is my second upset.
Yep.
All right. Serious Jones versus Rum Nitty.
Rum Nitty. I don't think there's much Serious Jones can do with Rum Nitty.
Man, I don't be so Rum. Please don't. I mean, granted, Rum Nitty's my favorite battle. Rum Nitty's my favorite battler, like non-horseman division. I got something to say about that in just a second, because you had a look in your face like, what do you mean Rum Nitty's your favorite battler?
Honestly. I mean, Rum Nitty and Twerk live that we watched was probably one of the best battles I've ever seen live. So,
oh my God, fam. Oh my God.
I'm not mad at that.
So real quick, I want to take a detour real quick, and we're going to come back. So, you know how we talked about the KD thing, right? The example I had on that was, that's if I am on someone's platform and they're talking to me about battle rap, and they say, who are your 5 favorite battlers? And I go, Rum Nitty, Ill Will, Loso, Saga. And I go, who's the 5th one? And I go, oh, that's right, Easy the Block Captain.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean? You do a podcast with the guy, you travel, he's your access to battle rap events, and you don't put him in your top 5. Like, anyway, so that's what I was gonna say. Dang, I didn't mean to leave that Jack career die with his chain thing up there that long. My bad, Jack. I got you winning. But all right. Anyway, keep it moving. I got Rum Nitty, obviously, but hey, if Rum Nitty don't win this 100,000, I'm gonna be pissed off. Just because, again, he's my favorite to win the thing and one of my favorites in the culture right now. Yeah. Drugs versus Yoshi. So it's hilarious to watch back the Champion thing now, and you go, Yoshi has a pin.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. Ain't nothing new under the sun, man. You can't tell me something that I didn't already maybe think in the first.
Yoshi, I believe you. I believe that you are doing your thing and you're doing it genuinely. That being said, I got Drugs winning. I still stand by what I said though. Like, it better not be 2-2 going to the fan vote. It better not be 2-2 going to the fan vote, because then I have a fear that Yoshi might get the dub. But I got Drugs.
Yeah, I got Drugs too. I think I had Yoshi on Champion. I think I picked Yoshi on Champion.
Yep.
With everything that's going on, Drugs' ability to write in a short amount of time, more angles, more stuff that can really hit. Yeah.
I mean, this whole ghostwriting thing, that's a whole round.
Yeah.
Right there. Prep, and how did I screw? I think autocorrect got me. It says Suave in my notes, but Prep versus Swave. Shout out to Swave and Restore Order.
This is a flip a coin battle for me. I'm gonna stick with my original pick with Swave. I think Swave can kind of like maybe put Prep under his wing. Prep's just done some things like outside of the ring that I think if Swave really kind of like, talks to him or whatever, like just OG, I think he can put together some real good material. So I'm gonna take Swave with the coin flip. So
I'm not gonna be in the building for Restore Order for some time, so I'm gonna take Prep. I took Swave before. I think Prep is one of those. I think Prep could go on a Holmesy like run. Mm-hmm. Where he wins some matches and improves his stock going into the summer. So I'm gonna take Prep in this one. Last one, Twerk versus Casey J.
I got Twerk. So yeah, I just don't, man. It's weird, man. Like, I just feel like hopefully these guys seeing as it as 100K, like are in like apply myself mode. And when you apply yourself, like there's a reason why New Jersey Twerk, Geechee Gotti, Rum Nitty are like some of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that those guys have shown us a few times where they've taken their foot off the gas. So it's like in my head, I hope that these guys are, first round especially. That should be your best. I mean. Unless, you're trying to tuck bars for some of the other rounds or whatever, but, and trying to squeeze by with like some kind of strategy or whatever. But I think that as long as Twerk gets through all 3 rounds, that he should win a battle.
That's interesting because that was a strategy that Jay, the Nightwing, used, right, on his way to the finals against Rubando.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he even says in his third, like, I could have wrote something better, but I feel like I was going to win with this material and go to Gnome. So you're getting throwaways, right? And had Rubando not choked,
he would
have been in the finals against Vaughn. So, so that whole tucking bars thing, because Twerk is so dynamic, I do wonder, does it run through his mind of, I can bring some B- material and still beat Casey?
Yeah.
I find that to be that's an interesting thought that hadn't crossed my mind. But I do have Twerk. I do think 2-minute time limits. So, for example, his first round against Jay on his return was like 6 minutes long. Had some really good material in there. You're talking about you get to cut the fat from his rounds. As long as he remembers everything, it's going to be tough to beat him.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's our UM3 first round coverage. We'll be back to break down the first round next week. Do you have any top tier cards you got tonight? Or are you good?
No, they're not with me right now. So, I was running around trying to get all this set up. For some reason, my internet's out, so I'm using my like Wi-Fi data, right, or not my actual phone data. I don't know what's going on with the Google Fiber. Like they're messing everything up. So, I was like running around trying to get connected and stuff. So,
all right. So, that's our show for tonight, man. We went super long. We normally don't go this long, but we had some draft stuff to get into. So we'll be back next week. So JC, we are going to start putting out a link for you guys to come and join us for a couple of minutes, get your takes off, talk some sports, talk some battle rap. So yes, we will make that happen pretty soon. Thank you for watching and subscribing and tuning in each week. Please remember you can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Theme by going to the podcast app of your choice or going to YouTube to watch the visual version of it. You can do that by searching at Brains and Bars. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, like the content, and share it. I am award.com for all things award related. This weekend in Atlanta, Battle Rap Mania going down.
Road Rage.
Road Rage. Let me actually give the actual names.
Yeah, Street Hymns versus Automatic Ray, Saga versus G-Lo, me versus Polo, Eddie I Chef Trez. Is that one of them?
Eddie I Chef Trez is the main event of the Gates of the not Gates of the Garden of the iBattle event.
Should be crazy.
That should be a really fire battle. I'm probably going to try to get the pay-per-view to be tuned into that battle because those are two of my favorites as well.
And Geechee Gotti battles the day after, so he battles on the same day as me against a guy named Wise. So.
That's crazy. So shout out to Lex. Shout out to Dre Dennis. Road Rage 3, right? That's the name of the card.
Yep.
Make sure I get it right.
Rage, 3, I think.
Road Rage 3, Gates of the Garden, iBattle crossover event. Shout out to those guys putting in work. We will see you guys next week, man. So until next time, it's been a black
and white
thing. I holla at y'all.
Deuces, y'all.